A lot of us don't realize that the problem with us is the people we surround ourselves with, the people we chase, the people we look to for validation. For a long time, I used to think I was going around in circles as regards to like me healing and growing as a person, because I would think, okay, I've gotten to a certain place, and of course healing is not linear, right? So you have to keep going through that motion, whatever it is, several times in different forms and in different ways. The only difference is it gets easier the more you encounter it and you don't run from it, right? I used to think that um I was doing well, and then I'd come across certain people in my life, sometimes new people, sometimes people I had known before who had come back into my life in some way or form. And I'd realize that, or I start to think that, man, I've not done any growing, because the minute I'm around these people, it's like whatever I was trying or whatever I thought I was over, it just keeps like, happening to me again. The same feelings or rabbit holes that I used to descend into mentally because of these people or situations that I thought I had been done with, I found myself in again. And I started to wonder, like, why is that the case? And it took a long time for me to realize, and I'm still realizing that it's not us. It's never about us. It's the people. We are mirrors. As people, we are mirrors of everybody else we come across. They're all reflections, right? Every other person is a reflection of some part of your soul. And some people continue to reflect a certain type of image back to you because that's the reflection that they cast, right? Because you're a mirror. Let me give an example. So you come across someone who's very anxious, who's very in their heads, very, touchy and finicky, and you are a very grounded, present person, someone who, is pretty much comfortable in their own skin, right? Or somebody who at least is healing from their own anxiety and becoming a much better, person in terms of presence and comfort with yourself. And then you come across this type of people and it's like they're pulling you right back into being an anxious person. See, what's happening is, because they are so anxious, you start to feel anxious with them, because now you start to think, oh, am I doing something wrong? Because you see a little thing and it's like their expression shifts or their response changes. So, their expression shifts, something happens, and you start to think, what am I doing wrong? Especially, for example, I was on a date with this girl, and I consider myself a very easygoing, chill person. I joke a lot. I just like to have fun. And so I was just being me, and it was like she was, either being defensive some sort of times or getting a little annoyed. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? I started to think, I started to get in my own head, because now I just thought we're having a chill conversation, we're just vibing, and all of a sudden now I'm thinking about everything I'm saying, because she's making me feel like I'm saying something wrong. But I know deep down that I'm not saying anything offensive. I'm just being jovial and having fun. And then she's like very, all these very jittery people, and she's a really very, very, very good looking girl. And so because of that, I was trying to make it work. Like, see, I was now trying extra hard instead of just being me and chilling and allowing things to flow naturally. Now I started like overcompensating. I started to like fill in the silences, or even try to ask, oh, are you okay? Are you good? Just because she was throwing me off. And I started to think to myself, especially later when I got back home, and I'm like, "But I thought I was done with the anxious thing and all that." And don't get me wrong, being done with it does not mean you can't get anxious again. But I knew for a fact that that was not natural. That wasn't me anymore. Who I became in that moment with that girl, it wasn't somebody I had been in a very long time, because I had continuously evolved as a person to be a very comfortable, easygoing, chill person, and I know that because I had done the inner work. So I was very confused as to where this was coming from again. And then it clicked because after I did some research, I did some things. I'm a very curious person when it comes to like the human psyche and the human experience. I tend to want to learn a lot, and because of that, YouTube is like my best friend. Anything like I'm curious about, I just start and I just keep going until like I'm satisfied, with that knowledge. So what I'm trying to say in this video is people are mirrors, they're reflections. And she was reflecting anxiety back at me. So it didn't matter how much growth I had actually done because I was in her presence. I was being dragged back to that state, that low vibrational state of second guessing and double thinking and overthinking everything I did because that was the type of person she was. She was overanalyzing everything. She was reading meaning into jokes that were just jokes. She was doing all of that. And I'm not in her head, but I can tell you that that's probably what the case was, right? I'm very empathic. So whether I like it or not, it's a conscious effort for me to keep my energy and maintain it in a group because I soak in people's energy. And so I'm very conscious about the people I surround myself with because I know how that can affect me as a person. If you surround yourself with high IQ, um, high vibrational people who only think positive and who, are out to get the goals that they have, whether you realize it or not, you will start to be that person because we are all mirrors. We reflect each other. That's why they say, show me your friend and I'll tell you who you are. Because genuinely, you will become the average of the friends that you surround yourself with. That's just the truth about it all. So I just want to say that be very mindful of who you surround yourself with. You are a mirror and it's never really about you. However people relate to you or react to you or whatever their relationship is with you, it's not a determinant of who you are. It's really more about them, especially if they're strangers, especially if they don't know you, especially if you didn't say anything to upset them or whatever, and you start to wonder, why is this person acting this way with me? But I didn't do anything wrong. I start to question your own self worth or question your own value or question what you did. I just need you to understand that it's never about you. You understand? It's always about the other person. Even in your case, the way you react to people or act towards people, especially when they do nothing to you, is not really about them. It's about the inner processes going in your mind and the way you are relating to those experiences, those um, subtle cues that the person is giving off that's making you behave the way that you're behaving. For example, a girl might simply dislike a guy or not even want to relate with a guy simply because he gives off the vibe that he's a proud person. Maybe because she had an experience with someone who was like that, or maybe this person reminds her of her ex, but you don't know this. You have no clue what's going on in her head. She's never going to tell you this. This is all in her head. And then you start to question, what did I do wrong? Is something wrong with me? I start to question, but it's never about you. It wasn't even about, she's not even seeing you. She doesn't even know who you are for real. She's just like, she's, she's imposing a meaning on your person because we are mirrors. I noticed this especially when I became a more quiet, intentional person. I speak really when I have something to say and shut up for most of it. You know, I stopped letting silence frighten me, especially in conversations with people or groups. I was more comfortable letting silence breathe. Like it doesn't matter if I was talking to a very pretty lady, I didn't the impulse to say something just so she doesn't think or it doesn't get awkward. I started to be able to be more comfortable with that impulse because that's what it was, an impulse. And I noticed that in being a quiet person, I was allowing space for her to now be herself. The more I was able to be quiet in a comfortable silence, because there's a difference. When you're silent and you're awkward about it, you make the silence awkward. When you're comfortable in silence, she can feel that it's not an awkward silence, even if initially she might be like, oh, what's going on? But when she sees your demeanor, the way you sit, the way you're composed, she understands that, oh, you're just cool. There's nothing going wrong. It's just vibes. She now is more able to like be herself, relax into it. And Funny enough, that's how you get better conversations. That's how you get more chemistry between two people. So what I'm trying to say here is, don't overthink things. Don't let don't let what your mind is telling you, because it's trying to fill in a blank space, it's trying to fill in a storyline. Don't let it dictate the way you move. Always move with presence, and always surround yourself with people that elevate you. They do not drain you. No matter how beautiful that girl is, no matter how good looking that guy is, do not let their looks be the reason you keep coming back to something that continually drains you. You know, if you keep talking to a person and every time you finish talking to the person, you're like, saddened, you're not really happy, or you just feel depleted, you just want to come back and lie down, or they drag you into a state of overthinking and, all that. You really need to distance yourself, not to cut the person off completely, but like reduce contact with that person. You understand? That's all I have to say for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like more stuff like this, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.